Ever wondered what creates the perfect backswing? We just did a video up here, if you haven't watched it, on how to create the perfect grip and the perfect connection to the club. Now we're gonna take that perfect connection to the club. We got our claws, right? We're gonna take those claws, we're gonna clamp them on the club, and now we're going to, as we say, steer our car to the top of the swing. Okay? So we'll start with lead hand only.
Yes.
And then we'll show what the lead hand's doing without a club.
Correct.
Then we'll show what the trail hand's doing without a club.
Then we'll introduce.
And then we'll introduce the club. Our clamps are ready.
The clamps are ready.
So lead hand only. Let's just talk about how these bottom two fingers are pushing and how the top two are working. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So these are kind of what we call it.
They're
pushing,
always
right?
pushing. They're always pushing. Right.
So here we go. Got like a neutral, strong grip. V at the trail shoulder, trail ear. We'll do that. Good.
So basically, those bottom two are going to push down. What he's going to do with the top two here is he's going to keep them pointing down as well. If you take your trail index, make a like shooter finger. That's a good visual. So go ahead and start it back.
So as I'm doing this, I'm
pushing with the bottom two.
It's almost like if you imagine, like we talk about this a lot, where if you imagine like a circle just outside like our trail foot, getting that like almost, you want to have about 5 inches outside the trail hip, trail foot. That's where we're kind of pushing. So we're taking those two
or imagine like a straight line down his toe line. So it's like, you know, his shooter finger's trying to like basically match that. Yeah, exactly. There you go. So he's
this
pushing.
Is what's starting the club back. Not, you see a lot of stuff that's talked about with instructors where they're saying, oh, you don't want your hands to do anything and you just want to rotate. Or just keep your hands passive. We see like a really common drill where somebody will take the club like in here and just
that's the classic
rotate.
One.
This is classic. And it's like, okay, so you didn't activate your hands. Now you have to activate them and hope that they can get the club to the top.
Opposed to actually learning like what your hands are actually doing.
That's not how you do it. That's not how you do it. So that's not how any good player has ever done it. So again, we got our claws, we've got our circle outside our trail foot. Now we're just taking those pads and we're pushing
and keeping the down, keeping the down with the top
keeping that downward feeling as we got that down.
That's what I'm saying. Yep. So it's pushing down with the bottom two and then pointing down with the top two.
Gotcha. Because if not, if
there's no conscious pull up,
if this starts pointing up too much, then the swing gets too narrow.
We're hinging too early. We're going to lose width.
Gotcha. So a big proponent of the takeaway is what we call width.
Correct.
Gotcha. And that's just, we want the club, basically, if we just took the club here, we want the club to be about 5 inches outside the trail foot.
Right.
So that's why we're pushing to that circle right there.
Correct.
Perfect.
Okay, cool. So he's got the lead hand now. Pushing. And then trail hand is going to be doing basically the exact same thing. Bottom two fingers pushing. Top two are basically, keeping the down feeling exactly. Gotcha. And one thing you'll feel too with the trail hand is those top two fingers will feel like they're also bending like straight back. That's getting that 45 degrees of extension in the trail wrist that we want to try to get from address to when the club reaches parallel to the ground.
So what do you mean
by that? So you're keeping like index finger pointing down, but you're also just bending it straight back.
So it's almost like if we grab this like hook right here, we're trying to feel at the takeaway as we're pushing. You almost want to feel like you're kind of hooking that.
Right.
Like
bottom two pushing down.
So these
top
are pushing.
Are pushing down as well.
Gotcha.
But you're bending the spring back though.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
But again, we're not pulling
not yet. Not until the transition.
Right, so now we're just, again, pushing to that same circle like we were with the lead hand.
Exactly.
Perfect.
Okay.
Good. Love it. I love this drill, too, for a lot of people. Just taking this. I do this a lot with my students. I'll take that hook right there. And these 3 fingers don't really matter. But now from here, you can just push, feel those bottom 2 fingers push into that circle, but feel that hook right there. This is such a good drill. And you can do this in a chair, too. We might add this to seated swing solutions.
There you go. Absolutely.
Because I really like this drill.
Yeah, it's a good one.
It's that kind of drill like we were doing with this, too. You can kind of combine the two.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
That's a great, like, whew, yeah, that's a stretch.
It is, exactly. And it's conditioning the, arms and hands in the ways that we need.
Okay, so let's clamp them together now.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll clamp them together.
And basically we're just
without a club, again, so we'll do this.
Okay.
So now we got them clamped without a club, and then we'll clamp them to the club.
Okay. Yep, got it.
So now we're just kind of uniting
Lock
them,
the triangle in.
Good. And again, both fingers are pointing.
You can point them straight down when you're doing with no club, just to kind of get you the feeling of like the direction that the top fingers are pointing.
Gotcha.
Give you
so
that good reference.
They want to be matching though.
Correct.
Right? You don't want
angle-wise matching. Yes.
You don't want like one finger over here and
no
like
mismatching.
One finger over
no
here.
mismatching.
Get those palms like matching each other.
Correct.
Good. Really good. And then get those curls. Good. Now again, got that circle. Now I'm going to feel that pushing, got those fingers pointing down.
Yep.
Little bit of extent, like we said here, got the hook
The back
there.
feeling, yep.
Boom. So that'd be a perfect takeaway there. Pushing down, out, and away from
Trail
the body.
index on knuckle should point down a little bit more. It's back good.
Right there?
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, got
That's it. Because you can imagine how the shaft would be if they, as soon as that index finger starts to go up like this, that club head's going to be going above the handle. So it's a good check point for you guys.
Put a club in there.
Yeah, exactly.
I got a good clamps now. Let's see it. Put a club in there. Okay, so again, we talked about this in the connecting the clamping the hands onto the handle last video.
Clamp,
so boom, I'm clamped.
Got it.
Got my muscles.
Perfect. Okay, now.
Okay, so now I'm going to feel that.
Yep. You're going to push with the bottom twos, and he's going to keep the downward feeling with the
Here,
top
come grab
twos.
my club. Just kind of give me that sensation.
Okay.
Show the people. Got the GoPro, so giving good visuals here for everybody.
Okay,
so I got my
pushing
clamps
down here, and then
so the circle again is right there.
it's like right here. Yep.
So we're going
pushing down,
pushing,
and pointing down like this.
Gotcha.
Good. If he points too much down and doesn't push down enough, he's going to lose the extension of the lead wrist. That's going to cause him to have a loss of connection in the swing.
Gotcha.
We call it kind of like floating to the top.
We see this so commonly. Where students just, ooh, go back to here.
Exactly.
It's like, oh, that's not good.
And if you push pull too early without enough, like,
not
downward move, you're going to get too quick of a set like this so that there's not going to be enough width, right?
Gotcha.
So if we can blend the two, the push with the down, he gets to that perfect
That's such a good visual
takeaway
for
position
people.
right there, exactly.
Yeah. And again, with a neutral grip, we're matching the spine angle. With a strong grip, we're slightly toe up.
Right.
That's really the only difference there.
Yep.
Really good. I love that feeling. So again, we're not rotating the body or anything like that. We're just pushing to that circle.
And pointing down.
And pointing down.
Right. There you go.
Gotcha.
You can. We'll say that to the last.
The club head, if we look at it from here, is basically just like in line with the hands.
Correct.
Right.
So if the last piece there would be there's a gradual twist, just gradual.
Okay.
So that's like the last thing. So with the bottom two, are pushing, top two are pointing down. So imagine that the top two fingers on both hands are just going to, like the shooter fingers are going to just rotate back just ever so slightly to where then we get the toe
That's what gets
up.
the toe up.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So what you're saying is basically got this.
Yep.
As you're pushing to that circle, get a little bit of almost like
it's again gradual, right?
Yep.
So it's like when you go to, if you think about, okay, from address to the takeaway, if I want to get the toe slightly up, then if I go to half of that, then the toe should be, basically matching your spine, or
but it's,
even just
like
a little
you
more
said,
than that.
it's important that it's gradual, because
it's gradual,
if it's too quick, then now we get the rolling,
it'll override
the
the pushing pressures. Yes.
So you want to be pushing.
Correct.
As you're
pushing
twisting.
Allows us to maintain tilt. Allows you to keep maintain like the proper connection of the lead arm to the body. Because again, if you're pushing, now that lead arm has to work kind of under.
Because you're pushing like into the ground.
Right.
Gotcha.
The same thing with the back move. Like if you just set the club head back, like the hands are going to go out. It's like, okay, now we have no connection. So it's like we're basically making sure that you get all the parameters right to get that perfect.
A good drill that you like to do. I know you do this a lot with your students, where you'll just have them do lead hand only, and you'll have them feel. That feeling
exactly.
Right there. So keeping that toe basically pointing down, feeling like, again, like that feeling right there. But it's a good one to just help you feel how this is staying connected.
Keeps you underneath, right?
Not
Keeps
too
you until. Yeah, you're not pulling in.
But it's really just a good drill.
You're not going out though either. Yeah, exactly. It's perfect.
The push pressure.
So you don't have to mask it with a towel under your or your
exactly.
Armpit,
right. Yeah, because you see a lot of people where they're talking about, like put a ball between your arms.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly,
the thing is like,
right here.
Use the claws right, and you get the effects that these train aids are trying to give you in a sense. But it's like, yeah, we want to learn it without the train aid, because what happens when we get on the course, right?
Right, exactly.
We got to be able to just rely on our claws.
Right, exactly. So the pressure here is what's keeping the elbows together and creating that like ball feeling.
Exactly.
Perfect.
And again, we wanted to really dive in today to dissect the hand this way, because it just makes a lot of sense. And if you think about it too, like the bottom two fingers again are pushing down, the top two are pointing down, and then they pull up when they go into transition, which we'll get into
Let's do it.
Next year. And the other thing is I'm sorry. Next here.
There you go.
We're going to get into next year.
People are ready. Although we almost are to the end of the year.
That's true. That's true.
Like if you had this hook right here, like we're saying, as you go to that takeaway, we've got it in a good spot here. Now, in order to get to the top, all we're doing is really just pulling that hook back at us.
Increasing everything.
As we're still pushed. So we're basically
the bottom parts are still maintaining push.
As we're pulling back with
Correct. Down with
and
a
again,
twist.
we're not just pulling back. We're still trying to
maintain
the push. Yes.
So by maintaining the push pressure with the bottom too, it's ensuring that we're keeping the proper connection of our arms, our swing triangle, to our body throughout the backswing.
Yes.
Right.
And this is what's allowing us to feel the proper rotation.
Correct.
The rotation's very like subconscious.
Right. It's amazing how with these bottom two fingers, if you keep pushing throughout the swing, the width of arc it's going to generate with stretching the handle away from your body is naturally going to make your shoulders turn more in a shorter distance of time. Then if you're trying to physically turn sometimes and your arms are doing nothing, it's like it just
Do I ever use my hands? Like we said in the podcast, like, do you ever use your hands?
Or how effectively though, right? It's like, and how effective can you turn too? So
exactly.
This makes it easy to get everything.
Right. Yeah, the body movements are very much an effect.
Absolutely.
Like, we're talking about the hand to handle to club relationship with everything we do here at Claw.
That's right.
So, okay, perfect.
So we're going to push down and point down with a little twist.
So I think, should we do lead hand only? Let's do lead hand only now to the top.
Okay, good.
So now we got lead hand only.
We're pushing down and pointing down with a gradual twist. Yep.
So we got the feeling
and you can think
this.
that to get the proper twist, he's just pointing that index finger basically straight back. That will allow him to understand that he's getting the proper amount of twist. If he's pointing straight back like this, it's still pointing down to the ground.
If
he points it back like this, to where it's pointing more of a like parallel line, that'll ensure he's getting the perfect amount. And it's okay to be a little cupped
here too.
You should be for a strong, neutral to strong grip.
Right, right. Well, yeah, with the neutral grip, you might be like a little more
just
flat.
a little flatter, but there's still a little bit of cup.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
Definitely.
Everybody thinks you got to be like that. No, push.
So again, so he's got, pushing down, pointing down, pointing index finger straight back. Now, as he transitions up, think of it this way.
Now I'm just trying to like shoot this towards the sky, basically.
You're actually, think about it as you're going to be continuing to push with the bottom two, down, out, and away like this.
Okay.
The top two are pulling back at his, like just under his trill shoulder, at like his trill bicep.
Gotcha.
So that gives him the feeling of where the direction is that he's actually like hinging to.
Gotcha. So if I like went here and went like that way, that'd be too vertical.
The club head would be across the line.
Yep. And if I went like that way, that'd be
too
like
flat.
I gotcha. So it's like where this, it's almost like if you imagine like this is shooting like up and back this way, wherever that's shooting.
The top two fingers are going to dictate to the direction that the top of the toe of the club head is going.
Right. Okay, I like it. Perfect. Okay, so now we'll do trail hand only.
Yep.
And again, we're just feeling that.
Bottom two.
Love this. Boom.
Same with the index finger pointing it straight back. Ensures he's getting a proper extension, proper amount of twist.
Now I love, again, this drill where we're trying to shoot this finger the same way that we just shot this finger, right? But still keeping that push.
Maintain the width. One thing that people are very it's a really misunderstood part of the swing. If we go back to takeaway, when he goes from the takeaway here, people have a hard time understanding when does the trail arm bend and how much does it bend. It should not be a conscious thing. The key thing is if you're consciously pushing with the bottom two and then pulling properly incrementally.
Look at that arm. It's starting to bend.
He's getting a perfect 90-degree angle there at the top.
None of this was conscious.
Correct. Because most people are too narrow or the elbow is too far behind like this, right?
Right.
And then sometimes it is too far out away.
So again, what you're saying is it's the effect.
Exactly. If we get these bottom two pushing down in the straight line basically back, and then the top two are pulling and pushing properly like back, it's like we got control of the body and the club.
Right.
And
yep, here we are. And again, that's that like tray position we talk about,
you can
right?
Feel even like he's like kind of pushing that away.
And then this is what's rotating my shoulder and hip.
The wider he's able to push away from his body with that trill palm, the more his trill shoulder is actually pushed back towards target. So it naturally creates a more centered rotation.
Gotcha.
Which again, it's easier to rotate a lot in a short amount of time if you don't laterally move.
Right.
But the palms help you so much because you can't really create a centered rotation if you're not using your palms properly, in my opinion.
Gotcha. Okay, so now we'll go without the club clamped together with both. Right. So now we're gonna push to point down, right?
Gradual twist. Keep pushing while pulling and consistently, gradually twisting the top, and here we are. Perfect.
Boom.
Right there.
There goes the club. That's okay. We'll leave it.
Right.
We're gonna connect the hands to it now. Okay, so perfect. So again, feeling pushing and pulling back. Got it. Perfect. All right, let's put the club in now.
Okay.
Perfect. Got my clamps.
Okay, good.
Okay, so we'll go get our width, right? 5 inches outside trail foot.
Correct. Now what I'm going to do here to kind of help you, I'm actually going to flip over here.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to keep pushing down against the handle of the club to maintain that width for you as you pull back with the top two.
Okay. So I'm basically just controlling the top 2 fingers of both hands.
Correct.
And you're going to control the bottom.
We're going to keep pushing and incrementally add that pull. So like right here,
boom.
He wants to make sure that, again, this butt end of the club really is almost far away from his body as he can keep it. It keeps that lead arm really taut, and then allows you to basically create like a pivot point with the lead arm for the trail hand to work against.
Yeah.
It's like as the trail arm goes from this extended feeling with everything. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Then when you pull back, you can see the trail arm is incrementally going to, you know, bend. Yeah. Even if you try to lock it, like lock it fully, if you increase your hinge, it naturally bends it.
Yeah, got it.
So people I don't think realize that. And like Sergio is probably the best person
as
far as lock to like the increased move.
Right.
And it's a great way to actually understand the swing because it creates like a shorter kind of swing, but it's more powerful and consistent.
Nice. So, I like it. So again, just to recap, really we want you to understand that we're creating these claws because we're trying to create the ultimate connection to the club.
Right.
Now, once we have that connection to the club, we can steer this club properly. Right? Yep. Understand how these bottom 2 fingers are really controlling the pushing feeling that we're talking about, right?
The butt end control.
The butt end control, I like it. So again, the butt end, how you're pushing on the butt end of the club is really keeping this triangle together.
The bottom parts of your hands are the butt end of the club, and then the top 2 fingers with both hands are the top of the club, and the club head, basically. From the handle to the club head in relativeness to your hands.
Gotcha. Perfect. So that's the hand to handle to club relationship.
Right.
Okay? Hopefully this helped you a lot. I know there's a lot of information out there about what creates the proper backswing. I hope we really gave you an understanding how the hands are a really big contributor into how your body's moving and how the club is moving in the backswing.
Everything you're going to honestly ever need to know about, like, the swing in general
is right here.
We're going to go through the follow through too. So
yeah, absolutely.
But really just understand, the relationship between the hands and the handle and how it affects the club, and then everything starts making a lot more sense.
Absolutely. Yep. The body is doing way less than you think, and we're, with our podcast and everything we're doing with content, it's just really trying to give you that awareness.
Right.
It's the hand to handle the club relationship.
Exactly.